guys. It's Tyler. And, for those of you who follow me on Tumblr, you know that shit's been pretty heavy lately, so to lighten up the mood, I'm going to read one of my fics. I'm going to read a smut piece that I wrote, I want to say about a year and a half ago, maybe? Like, January of 2010. Yeah, it's about a year and a half. A little more than a year and a half. Anyway, it's rated NC-17, so no kids. If you're under 17 or you can't handle kinky sex and bondage, go. Just stop. Just turn it off and go away. Just, that way. Scatter. Disperse yourselves. For the rest of you, enjoy. It's the pairing. Yeah, it's a slash. Don't judge me. Don't do it. I can feel you. Don't. Anyway, the pairing is Brian Hayner Jr. with Alex Arcases. However the fuck you say that. I hate saying Alex's last name. So anyway, we're gonna go with Alex Too Much For You in Sin. Probably when I wrote it, I had like City of Evil era Sin in mind, because to me he was ultimately totally attractive right there. And then like right when they were doing Taste of Chaos in 08, that was a really good time for Sin. I loved his outfits. Anyway, I sound like this ridiculous fangirl. It's called Beg Me, and it features Brian as the bottom and Alex is the top, and Ashley said I should do sex noises, but I don't know if I'm going to do the sex noises purely because that's slightly embarrassing for me. Oh, hang on. There's like this loose piece of hair on its bottom. Sorry. Oh, speak of the devil. Who just IM'd me? Ashley Nicole did. Sorry. Anyway, so let's get to the fic, shall we? Like I said, this is called Beg Me, and please be kind, because this is like really, really old. Back when I used to like to make like my characters talk a lot during sex. So yeah. Enjoy! Me. Everyone knew that Brian Hayner Jr. and Alex Arcases were fucking. Hell, everyone even knew that they were an established couple, sanctified by Matthew, I'm straighter than a fucking Arrow Sanders himself. What they didn't know was that Brian was Alex's little slut. And he just loved it. Loved it. When Alex made him get on his hands and knees and beg. Sinister fucking Gates was a whore. And Alex knew that he was a whore. And Brian knew that Alex knew that he was a whore. But there was an unspoken understanding that Brian was Alex's whore. And that no matter what, at the end of the day, Sin kinda really did love Alex, and Alex really did kinda love Sin. And their love, that was the shit they put in movies for Always Together Forever and all that bullshit. So when Alex wanted something, he got it. Always. Besides, no one would believe that Sin was his partner's bitch, would they? Beg for it, Brian. Beg me to take these handcuffs to your pretty little wrists. Beg me to tie you up and fuck you like the fucking whore you are, Alex commanded as he let the handcuffs dangle from the middle finger of his right hand. Brian whimpered in response. He was painfully aroused. All he wanted to do was come so hard he saw stars. And Alex stared down at his lover, who was on his hands and knees, and raised a blonde eyebrow in expectation. I said, beg me, Brian, the younger man said in a firm, yet caressing and sensual voice that made Brian even more desperate for his release. Please, Alex. Please. Handcuff me to the bed and fuck me like the fucking whore I am, Brian whimpered as he stared up at Alex with hot, pleading eyes. Good boy, Alex turned and made his way to the master bedroom that he and Brian shared. Brian following on hands and knees. Alex turned and looked at the older man and got, if it was at all possible, even harder. The mighty Sin Gates on his hands and knees was the sexiest sight the vocalist had ever seen. Alex opened the door and Brian crawled in, ass high in the air. And the room itself had gorgeous deep purple walls with a huge bed draped in black linens and a comforter. The multitudes of pillows were tossed haphazardly towards the metal headboard, and a lone pair of black boxers were dangling from the end post. Alex almost laughed at the sight of his boxers hanging there, but instead decided to focus on the task at hand, which was a sexy man with tattooed skin that was laid out for Alex and Alex alone. You want me to fuck you, Bri? Want me to fuck you so hard that you can feel my dick all the way in your fucking throat as you scream my name? Brian nodded frantically. Damn. He loved it when the younger man talked dirty to him and treated him like a slut. Please, Alex, just fuck me already. Back talk, Brian? Alex asked as he laid a hand on the other man's upturned bottom. Brian shook his head emphatically. Never back talk, just a request. You know better than to demand things of me, Brian. I'm going to have to punish you. Alex said as he brought a heavy hand to his lover's ass. Brian let out a low whine of need. Get on the bed. Legs back and ass to me, Alex said in a commanding voice. Brian did as he was told, and as he crawled up the bed, Alex leered at him. Leered at him. We're gonna go with leered at him, because I can never pronounce that other word. Yeah. When Brian had situated himself on the bed, the younger man crawled up and secured his wrist to the headboard. And Brian moaned. I'm going to spank you so hard. So hard. It's only fitting, isn't it, Brian? How hard? Before he could get an answer, a breathing moan escaped from him. From deep in his throat as he felt a hard hand lay on first his right ass cheek and then the left. Alex grinned and brought his hand down again and again, eliciting moan after moan from Brian. Brian bucked his hips up again and again to meet the hard slaps that assaulted the pale mounds of flesh. Sorry about that. The vocalist ran his hands over his handiwork before bringing both down on his lover's ass cheeks once more. Fuck. Please, Alex. I'm desperate. Please. Please. Brian begged as Alex let a final smack land with a resounding thwack to Brian's flesh. You want me to fuck you? Brian nodded and Alex laughed and got off of the bed. Brian whimpered as he turned his head to watch Alex strip his clothes altogether. Once the man was naked, he grabbed lube, protection, and got back on the bed. I'm going to fuck you in the next week. Sound good? Yes. Just fuck me. Alex grinned at his lover's familiar eagerness as he rolled the condom down and slicked it up. As a spur of the moment idea, he decided to stretch Brian. That way, he didn't have to go as slow as usual. Brian whined as he felt two cool, slick fingers at his tight entrance, and he pushed his hips back to meet them, and essentially pushed them in. As Alex slid his finger in further, he knew he had hit Brian's spot because the older man began to moan and fuck himself under the other's fingers, writhing, panting, and whimpering. He tried to move even further, but the handcuffs stopped his frantic motions short. Finally, Alex added a third finger, and Brian practically screamed like a cheap porn star. Scream for me, Sin. Brian did as he was told, screaming in need. He was hard as a fucking concrete block, and Alex was torturing him. And Alex knew he was torturing him. Alex got the message, finally. removed his fingers and quickly replaced them with his length. Yeah, I can't believe I wrote this. Both men groaned at the sensations of fucking and being fucked. Alex pulled all the way out, much to Sin's dismay, only to teasingly thrust back in. Almost, but not quite hitting that magical happy button. He proceeded to do this until Sin was pleading with him to fucking for all that he was worth. And Alex, being the nice guy that he was, proceeded to meet his boyfriend's requests, fucking him as hard as he could, biting and sucking the skin of Brian's neck, leaving mark after mark, all while he firmly grasped the base of his lover's aching, needy dick, preventing him from spilling his release until Alex was ready for him to, and said that it was okay. I'm so fucking close, he moaned into his lover's ear, and Brian panted in response. His own orgasm so close, yet so far as Alex held his dick. Alex let out a low growl and spilled. Deep within his lover's body, biting her. What was it? Oh. Biting his neck once more, and Brian panted harder, wanting so desperately to come. His lover sensed this and relented. Undoing the handcuffs, he rolled his boyfriend over, kissed him once, and then enveloped his leaping cock into his mouth, using just the right amount of pressure with his lips while his tongue swirled delicately over the head and underside, hitting all the most sensitive nerves. Brian whimpered in the back of his throat and tried to fuck Alex's mouth. Alex grinned around his lover's dick and held his hips steady. Moving at his own pace, he licked and suckled slowly, torturing and pleasing until Brian was a whimpering, quivering mess. Whining in need, he broke down and grabbed Alex's short hair. Let me come, please, Alex, please, he begged, voice taking on a whine that Alex couldn't resist. Alex relented and took the other man's cock to the back of his throat, relaxing all of the muscles as he bobbed his head up and down. Sin made panting moans and screams that were enough to let the other man know that he was close. So very close. He bit gently. Woo! He bit gently and massaged in all the right places, and it was just enough for Brian. He shouted his lover's name and came down the other man's throat in a long, hot spurt. Alex swallowed the hot, salty, sweet liquid and turned up at his man. I like this begging thing, baby, he said as he slid it up the bed. Kissing the still panting man and licking over his boyfriend licked at his lower lip and tasted himself. I'm sure you do, baby. I'm sure you do. Love you, Bri. Love you too, Lex. Brian kissed Alex and cuddled into the younger man, using his chest as a pillow, while he wrapped his arms around his middle. Aww. Alex kissed the top of Brian's head and luxuriated in the feeling of the mussed-up strands of his typically perfectly coiffed hair. And finally, sexually sated sleep claimed the musicians. Aw, happy story! Wow, I'm probably red in the face, and I'm gonna go back to my sex playlist now. Yeah. Later, guys.